All right, well, welcome everybody to our third GCCC campaign spotlight, Running Green, Real Talk with Congressional Candidates. So I'm Hallie Karras. I'm a member of the GCCC. I'm here with Rick Lass, who I'll let introduce himself, and our two guests, who will also go through some introductions. Just a couple things to kind of get everybody going. We are going to go through some questions and a really nice discussion with our two guests, and then have time for questions at the end. So you can definitely drop questions in the chat. We'll also kind of go around and you can ask questions in the question and answer time, and we'll just ask that you stay on mute until the Q&A at the end. So, Rick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks very much, Hallie, and thanks everyone for being here. My name's Rick Lass. I live in southern New Mexico, historical Apache homeland down here. And I'm really excited about this program that we have tonight and the series that we've gotten started. We're seeing a lot of enthusiasm for Green Party candidates this year, talking to people. They're totally fed up with the other two parties. And it's great to have Robin and Chibu take time out of their busy schedules to come and be with us tonight. And I'm looking forward to a really great conversation.
Perfect. So Robin and Chibu, who wants to go first? Mike, we'd love to hear just a little introduction of who you are in case people haven't met you before.
Matter to me.
Robin, you go first. I probably should have just asked someone to go first. Sorry about that.
Okay. My name is Robin Brownfield. I am, last year, I ran for House of Representatives in District 1 of New Jersey. I ran as first the only woman, the only Jewish candidate, and the only anti-genocide candidate last year. I ran primarily because of the gung-ho support for Israel that our congressman has shown. He kept sending out emails proud of his support for Israel and so forth. And we're looking at babies being blown apart live, real time on a daily basis. And I just could not let that go. We have an active organization here fighting the genocide, the slaughter, the propaganda, and so forth that AIPAC has backed. And we've gained a lot of support in this area for Palestine in that process. I was part of the Green 13 last year. We ran 12 candidates for House of Representatives in New Jersey and a senatorial candidate. And we did very well. Of course, we didn't win, but we did get record numbers of votes last year. And that caused the Democratic Party and basically the whole legislature in New Jersey to increase the requirements for signatures on the ballots to try to keep us off in future elections. So it was a little tougher this year to get on the ballot, but a few of us did. I'm on the ballot for New Jersey Assembly in District 5. And we have a gubernatorial candidate, and we have another assembly candidate, and we have some local candidates in different communities. So that's it.
All right, great. And Chibu, would you like to introduce yourself too?
Yeah, hi y'all. I'm Chibu Asonye. I am a former congressional candidate for 2024 for the Illinois Green Party, Illinois District 13. And for 2025 and 2026 elections, I am working as one of the lead campaign managers.
All right, great. And we wanted to also give a brief overview of our committee before we get into the discussion part of the program. So the Green Congressional Campaign Committee sort of reconstituted itself last year, about halfway through the election cycle in 2024. And in that time, we're able to cut video ads and do social media buys for a number of Green candidates. And we're getting more organized. I'm starting earlier this time. We looked at a lot of campaigns and noticed there were a lot of needs that we thought we could fill. One of those is to do these candidate spotlights to give candidates a chance to expose themselves to a wider audience outside their district. And one of the main things we're doing right now is fundraising to help us be able to be ready to support as many Green candidates as we can once the season really heats up. I noticed in an email from a candidate the other day that there's 500 days till the election. So in some ways it seems far away, but when you think of it in those terms, it's pretty close. So the campaign committee, we're going to do whatever we can to support candidates. One of those is this spotlight. The other thing we're doing is creating a job board. So we're asking people with campaign experience to send in their resume, and we're going to make like a want ad section on our website so that as candidates are thinking about running, they have a place to go to look to staff up. We saw a lot of candidates in the last election cycle. They were their own campaign manager, their own treasurer, their own volunteer coordinator, and they just really didn't have time to be the candidate the way that takes so much time. And as a former candidate, not for Congress, but myself, I can tell you there's not enough hours in the day to reach the number of people you need to reach in these kind of races. So with that in mind, we'd really love it if you could make a contribution. We got word today that an anonymous donor is willing to match every donation we get tonight up to $500. So if you thought you could give $10, please do, because it'll magically get turned into $20 thanks to the generosity of this one donor. So we'd love it if you could do that. The other thing I just want to briefly point out is if you can make a recurring donation, that really helps us plan for the future as we start to get 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 435 congressional candidates. We're going to need to plan where we spend our time and our resources. So if you can do that, that helps us a lot. And I'll talk some more about some of the things we are planning to do this election cycle. But I think it'd be better if I turn it over to Hallie and we get into the conversation with our amazing candidates.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Rick. Well, Chibu, first question is for you. If you could maybe describe your campaign in 2024 and kind of go over some of your biggest successes and maybe some lessons learned.
Yeah. As a congressional candidate, I was focused on national issues, but because Illinois is a Democratic stronghold, I also wanted to highlight how national issues also reflected down on local issues and statewide issues. I also was an anti-war candidate, which I think also very much made me a standout candidate. Not only was I young, a woman of color, and predominantly in a progressive, like college educated, college student population. So it was really great. Like I'm representing the community of which I live in. But I was an anti-war candidate. A lot of people don't like to spend money on war and waste. Gaza, the genocide that was happening in Gaza was just a prime, very visceral example of the money that we're spending and where we're spending it on, and the harm that continuously investing in the military industrial complex is what the definitive end result is. And so I think one of the lessons that I learned and a success of mine was really expanding people's understanding of how do you push back on the war machine without giving up, or particularly when you have given up. In my community, like I said, Democratic stronghold, it's because people identify as independents, but in Illinois, they are essentially forced into one of the two parties due to the continuously pushed back access to the ballot, which is a huge struggle on my campaign. So one lesson learned was pushing an anti-war agenda allowed people to expand the asset they have and seeing how national issues actually do impact local issues. The second one is ballot access and the importance of having it and keeping it when you have it in your community. In Illinois, we used to have ballot access in 2026, or in 2016 and in 2020. However, because we continue to have success, even though we may not, like, we were continuing to have success in keeping ballot access, the Democratic Party and the establishment did not want us to have access anymore. So they made the rules more difficult. And seeing an insurgence of a will for people to want something outside the two-party system, outside the duopoly, they're making it even harder for 2026. And so one of the lessons learned is you cannot fight, like you cannot give up on the fight. They will, and every time they push back, it's because you're being successful, and that means you need to actually double down. My campaign was mostly grassroots, so small dollar donors, and it made me want to know every single person who was in my community, not just people who I thought would automatically agree with me because they supported Green Party people previously. Something that my campaign differed from the two establishments was I did talk to all people. I didn't just focus on safe, guaranteed votes. I went out into the streets and canvassed in the rural communities when I'm from a more predominantly urban, micro-urban area. And I talked to the minority party, which was the Democrats, and the Libertarians as well. But the Libertarians lost their ballot line access as well because of the difficulties. So you can't give up, and grassroots is the only way to go.
Yeah, that's great. Robin, same question for you.
Okay. It's when my campaign started, it was really just me, because a lot of old Greens had disappeared, and we really didn't have much of a structure for running a campaign. But I kind of dug into my community organizer, union organizer roots that's in my past, to find new people, basically. I saw this as a challenge to create a new, to create more interest in the Green Party, but also just create a larger community-wide or area-wide organization that would be here for the Green Party in the long run. And so I did have at my disposal one thing that was a very valuable source, which was that my husband, primarily, my husband and I, but mostly my husband, started South Jersey for Gaza. And every Saturday since October 2023, people have been out there, we have been out there, basically at a very busy intersection in our community, protesting the genocide in Gaza and the US complicity in the genocide. And we have had a lot of success with that. We didn't end the genocide, but in terms of building support for Palestinians, for Palestine. And that's where my source of other people was going to be. nobody else was advocating for Palestine. There were a few progressive Democrats who were, but they were having a hard time getting on the ballot. And so I decided to bypass the Democratic Party altogether so we could get somebody on the ballot who would be talking about the issues around Gaza and around the war machine and around other issues that affect us domestically as well. And I had right there all these wonderful people active in South Jersey for Gaza. One of the main activists became my campaign manager, and she's my campaign manager today. We came across people as we were petitioning for Jill Stein. We built up a big movement. Well, not maybe big, but a respectable movement in our area where we had new people active in the campaign, leafleting, going door to door, we didn't really make phone calls. We didn't have those kinds of resources, but we did text messaging. We did county fairs and things like that, and built from the bottom up a nice organization. Now we have, as a result of that campaign, a number of new, young, active Greens who are going to be running for office. One is now running as the lieutenant governor, for the lieutenant governor in our state. And we have hopes that a number of people from our area will be running in 2026 as well. So I saw this as a project to organize the Green Party, because we needed new support, and now we have it. So.
That's great. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to play a video in a couple minutes that was cut, Robin, and I don't know if it's one of the ones that Ariel cut, but I know the GCCC's field organizer came to both your districts and helped you with cutting videos and doing some other work. And I wonder if you could share that experience and any other ways that that you felt that our committee was supportive.
Well, I mean, the video was definitely helpful. I am very reticent to do videos. I'm not one of these people who can just pull out my phone and do something on TikTok spontaneously. So I was really glad that somebody with both video skills and editing skills was able to put something together for me, and I was able to use parts of that for future spots for campaign and my campaign and so forth. What I got down here was actually kind of limited. I'm in South Jersey, which to everybody else is like Siberia. Everybody else in New Jersey, they're very North Jersey oriented. So I felt like we were kind of left out of a lot of that, but I was really glad that at least I had that video. And then we found our own sources eventually, and that helped. I'm sorry.
Great. And Chibu, I've seen pictures of you and Jill on the front lines. I don't know if that was when the same place she got arrested. Were those videos done with Ariel, or were they done with someone else?
Those were done with Ariel. Yeah, so the GCC jumped in the minute I announced, actually. Justin Beth saw me on Twitter when I was allowed to announce that I was officially with the Illinois Green Party with my campaign, and he jumped in to offer assistance right away. And so that was really supportive and helpful. One, to see that people believed in me when my community, like my family, supported my idea, but they also saw me as a long shot. And Illinois greens are consistently long shots, but we try to beat those odds, right? And so one, it was encouragement that was offered. The second was, yes, Ariel came down to visit me in Central Illinois. So we're about 3 hours from Chicago and in the middle of the cornfields, which I love. That's why I'm here. And we drove down. My district was a full 3 hours from the middle of Illinois to all the way down to St. Louis area. So the very tippity top, I guess tippity bottom actually, in Southern Illinois. And so he was someone that I could practice my speeches with. Not only did he cut video for me and give me that kind of encouragement, he taught me the importance of having more people come along with you. We canvassed together, started canvassing together for the first time for myself, not for somebody else. And so having that practice, we were able to coach other volunteers who then became my lead volunteer organizers and volunteered new people that Ariel never met. He also gave me different ideas. So Ariel acted as a pseudo campaign manager or as a campaign manager when he was with me. And because he came in on the earlier side of my campaign, I had those strategies that I could then impart on my team as I got bigger. And then they were able to literally just kind of continue to go with it because he created templates for me. And so the GCCC was able to even offer like old videos that I ended up watching to help, and even like media training. So looking at the screen, Starlene during my campaign actually stopped for like an hour and a half for us to individually meet up one-on-one to do media training so I can get even better at interviews. And so those are some of the very big things that build up my confidence. Confidence does not grow on trees. You have to cultivate it, I guess. And so it was, I guess that doesn't make perfect sense, but in my head it did. And so you all get what I mean. It was really great to get that confidence and then to understand why it's so important to not do activism, but particularly run a campaign by yourself. You'll get burnt out and it's not possible. It's just not possible. You always have to have someone else to assist you in some way.
Yeah, well, good. I'm so glad that he was able to help both of you as the field organizer for the committee. And I will just validate, it really takes a lot of guts to get to be on video. And so to have somebody helping and coaching and editing and, putting it all together is so valuable. So I think next we actually want to watch the first portion of Robin's video that Ariel helped to film and produce. I do also want to note that we were able to do several videos for the election cycle last year and also support candidates with some YouTube paid ads to get those videos out in their districts to voters. So that was pretty successful and definitely something that we're going to continue to do. I'll let Rick be the one that asks for the money, but just wanted to plug that a little bit because it was a lot of fun. So let me pull this video up. Oops. Oh, full screen.
My name is Robin Brownfield. I'm a former sociology professor and union organizer, and I have a background in journalism and directing community programs. I got involved in doing this primarily because of my activity around calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. I've been active in all sorts of movements since I was 12 years old. This seems more urgent than many things that we've dealt with in the past because it's our government that is financing the genocide that's going on, where over 35,000 people have been murdered using our tax money and weapons produced by our country. There's two things going on that I see. There are a lot of people who are up in arms or furious or upset about our involvement in committing a genocide. But there's also a lot of people, including our congressmen, who are facilitating the genocide. Donald Norcross has a stellar voting record for everything related to war. He votes to arm Israel, increase military spending at every turn. He just voted to condemn the phrase "from the river to the sea" as being anti-Semitic. And as somebody who was raised by Jewish parents, it's not anti-Semitic. Genocide committed by anyone is wrong.
All right, and I'm going to stop it there just because it is kind of a long video, but I will pop the link in the chat, and I would encourage everybody to watch the full video after the call. That was great.
So a few people have started to ask questions. We're going to save those questions till after we finish the discussion, and then we'll get to those later. But we do have a few other things we wanted to cover. Robin, while we're on you and looking at your video, you mentioned when you introduced yourself, you're running right now. I see there's at least one other candidate from New Jersey in the audience. And if you want to just give us briefly what's happening, most of us in the rest of the country don't realize there's big important elections in an odd number year in a couple of states. So maybe you could help us with that.
Okay, the big election in our state is for governor. It's one of like 2 states that has a gubernatorial election this year, and both the Democratic and Republican candidates are horrible. They're APAC funded. They're the Democrat has a military background, and one of our candidates last year, who ran against her, just has such contempt for her, and I understand why. But we're the yeah. So what we have Steve Zielinski running for governor, and he just took on Orem Snow as his running mate. For lieutenant governor, Orem is one of the people we found through our activities with South Jersey for Gaza. We have a lot of people from South Jersey now active in the Green Party as a result of last year's campaign and the continuing campaigns that we're running here. And we're very happy that we have this great, brilliant young man running, with Steve Zielinski. We didn't do quite as well as we'd like to in terms of getting on the ballot for New Jersey Assembly, because the petition requirements were made much more difficult this time. So many people, just couldn't get the numbers that we needed to get on the ballot. But I did, and one other, Steve Welzer, got on the ballot for New Jersey Assembly. We do have a few people who ran to get on the ballot, or a petition to get on the ballot in local governments, and they successfully got on. But that's where we are at. We have, the main thing is the gubernatorial election, and we have 2 assembly people, including me. So
That's great. That's great. And Chibu, the Green Party of Illinois is gearing up to run a full slate of executive branch candidates in 26. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the process, what's going on there?
Yes. I am really excited to share that the Illinois Green Party is going to be running 7 full candidates for each level of the executive for the statewide level. We are running, so the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and treasurer are a few of the candidates that we've already secured and are working with on campaigns. We do also have a congressional candidate for 2026. Part of our work in petitioning is to get access to the ballot, to have access and secure a ballot line for the state. But because I said earlier, state issues reflect on a national level, we are going to be supporting our congressional candidate. And so our congressional candidate is Alexandria, and I'm going to give her, I'm going to pass the mic to her to share and to introduce herself.
Oh, sorry, mic issues. Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Alexandria Keating-Sofiakis. I'm running for Illinois District 10 against Brad Schneider for, my goodness, some of the exact same reasons that Robin was. He's the most vehement Zionist in Congress and most vehement pro-genocide candidate in Congress. He's voted for every single weapons bill. He supported the move of the embassy to Jerusalem. He has supported every single narrative that's turned out to be false. He supported the airstrikes against Iran from both Israel and America. I could literally go on for 2 hours. He's done every single pro-genocide thing possible. And so somebody's got to do it. So here I am.
Yes, I absolutely love it. And one thing that I appreciate about having a congressional candidate for 2026, along with a full slate of for the executive branch, is that it not only is it a big bang and following the great work of the New Jersey 13, it also is a means of highlighting to Illinois that we care on all levels. Our focus isn't solely on president, which was something that came up in 2024, and focusing on congressional, focusing on our slate of 7, and then focusing on a small, like local school boards. This is how we highlight paths of victory, but this is how we highlight and showcase these smaller wins as proof that we are able to govern, which is part of what we're offering to not only like the United States from Congress, but to Illinois, that we're able to successfully govern a state and take care of their needs in a better way that aligns with Illinoisans' actual values.
That's great. Rick, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, both of you are former candidates and in some ways current candidates are really involved. And you've been doing this before. And the question is, what preparations would you recommend people like Alexandria and others that are either announcing or getting ready to announce their campaigns? What would you recommend that they should be doing? What preparation should they be making right now, like today, tomorrow, this weekend?
Today, tomorrow, this weekend. Certainly, there are like practical things that have to be done, getting an EIN number and getting a bank account and getting, a treasurer who is not you, which I'm still searching for myself. But have a look, keep your eyes open for every opportunity to get out there and get your campaign noticed. Get leaflets together so you can hand things out to people, or at least use them as an excuse to talk to people. we attacked a lot of county fairs and things like that, where thousands of people would gather. And those were actually, it was quite successful. Every place that we did, you know, leafleting in different, at county fairs or community fairs or whatever, we did better in the vote than in places where we didn't do that. So I think it did make a difference when we showed up and we talked to people and we handed them the literature and we went door to door to their houses, which is hard in my in the communities I live in, because there are a lot of stairs to climb. And if you're like me, climbing steps is like my kryptonite. But it's still worth the effort to talk to people. I would also say get involved. If you're not already involved with other community organizations or efforts, get involved with them. Even here's the thing. While I would not personally ever get involved with Indivisible, leaflet, do you have Indivisible where you are? It's like a,
We do in Illinois, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's a Democratic Party front, right there. But there are always people who get involved in it looking to do something more. And they get disenchanted with them very quickly because they're still, trying to get people to vote blue no matter who. And so it's worth approaching those groups. Like we had that No Kings demonstration in our town. It passed by our South Jersey for Gaza action that we have every Saturday, and thousands of people were there. There had to be at least 2,000 people in my town marching by. And you could tell there were people there who were not particularly thrilled with Indivisible itself. But, and those are the people we want to get to. So even, some of these sort of mediocre establishment type organizations, you'll find people who are looking for something better. And so don't overlook those. That's what I would advise. Raise money. Raise money in any way you can. So.
That's fair, Robin. Getting fundraising anywhere you can. Be willing to ask your family for money. This is something that a lot of people actually don't like doing, and I didn't like doing it because I grew up in the philosophy of, if I'm asking you for money, I'm asking you for charity, like it's a negative thing. What you need to remember or think about as a candidate, and I'm telling you this as a campaign manager, that you're asking for an investment into yourself. And what you're giving to your family is a thought out business plan, which is your campaign plan. Okay, so their investment is not going nowhere. Here's what they're doing. You are a business. We're in capitalist society, so it's not great, but you are an investment, and this is the investment that they're paying for. And what they're investing in is something that's good, and it's going to lead to something else. So that's the first thing. Definitely. The second thing that I actually thought of for this event in particular that I haven't really shared is I had wished that I had sought out more endorsements more actively. People ended up endorsing me, which was amazing. There were groups that are pretty seasoned in soliciting good candidates so that they can endorse the best candidate, regardless of so like nonpartisan people will create a guide that, and then we'll also create like if you want to endorse them. And so I applied for some of them, in which I did get, but I wish that I had sought them out more actively, which you should do as a future candidate and as a current candidate. Seek out endorsements. That's going to be how you get more people to knock on doors for you, to call people, so that way you don't always have to ask for money. Someone else can do it for you. People who talk. There are groups that are currently Democratic aligned, but they are sick of it. And in their bylaws, they may be able to endorse non-Democratic people. And so I really just thought about this. I've learned, for example, just one example, the Democratic Socialists of America may be able to work with third parties, which they currently do. And so there's a thought of, if they are progressive and they're currently unhappy with their candidate, and you're in that community, as a Green, can they endorse you? Not you have to be a Democrat or anything like that. Just as a Green, are they able to endorse you if they're a group in your community? Because you will do things for ceasefire, like there's alignments, and there's going to be other unions that are similar. Maybe there's a SEIU, which is typically considered like a Democratic union potentially. Think about the fact that this past 2024 election, there were groups, national groups, that withheld their endorsement. And so that's also a strategy I would encourage you all to use this 2026, 2025. Maybe they can't endorse you because of their current bylaws. They can change bylaws, okay, for future references, but ask them to withhold their endorsement. That means that your candidate, your competition will not get their assistance, and they won't get that time, but maybe they'll let you come and speak to their group because the rank and file want to hear all the candidates. These are things that I did later in the game, and I had other folks sometimes do for me, which you can also do, but I wish I had done that more actively. And so spend at least a couple hours seeing who I can talk to that can make that thing connection. A great way to do that, which is the third piece of advice, is to go to community events like Robin said, but go multiple times. Don't just go once. Go, I would hope, if you can, 3 times, or you and a representative can go multiple times. This builds trust, as you may be newer to connecting with different groups of people, and different, again, like unions, nonpartisan, and things like that. So work with your allies and see if you're able to work together to break that duopoly and to push your agenda and to get you that win on the ballot.
I love that. Robin, you raised your hand. Do you have something to add?
2 things. One is I want to revise something I said. Don't raise your money in any way. We don't take any corporate donations or large PACs and things like that. I was thinking more in terms of, finding ways to raise. We did things like we had an art sale, things like that, which actually got us the bulk of our money last year. But the other thing is, one of the reasons we did as well as we did in this, and well, all over, but definitely in this area, was we established connections with the Arab and Muslim community, basically communities. My campaign manager is a Palestinian American woman who is active in her, in the Muslim community, and she was very instrumental in gaining us a lot of support. And so let's not forget to, keep them in, stay in contact with them, establish contact, go to mosques, go to, we've had, there've been a number of, celebrations and festivals and so forth that where we've shown up. And honestly, I believe that one of the mosques that Anam had hit up for petitions, signatures for Jill Stein, I believe they were the ones that put us over. So we actually got her on the ballot here. So, make connections with different groups that are nationally and politically oppressed in our areas, because they're the people who are angry enough to want to change, to have change. So.
All right, well, thank you. And we had a few more questions, but we want to shift gears a little so we can make sure we get questions from the audience. And both Robin and Chibu said things that my ears perked up. Robin correcting herself that we don't take corporate money. And, some people think that puts us at a disadvantage, but it doesn't. It puts us in an advantage, because when we win, we're not beholden to anybody but the grassroots supporters that supported us. And that is so critical. And the other things that made my ears perk up was Chibu wrestling, because I did this myself, asking for money when I was a candidate. We're not asking for charity. We're asking for power. We're asking for people to help support us so that we can get into office and help make their lives better. And that's so important. And as candidates, we need to make sure we're telling people that we're not asking money just because we're having a great time running for office. We're serious about what we're doing, and we're fed up with the system that it is, and we're going to change it, and we need their help to do it. And we're not going to compete. I said last month that, no matter how much money the GCCC raises, it's going to pale in comparison to what one Democrat raises for one race. We're in this because our hearts are in it, because we want to see change, and we know we're going to be outspent. But as one of my mentors said early on, Greens are really good at running low budget campaigns, but we can't run no budget campaigns, and we need to raise the money we can. And that's why, if you're here tonight in the audience and you can make a contribution, we would really appreciate it. You've seen what great candidates we have at this spotlight, and that we're going to continue to have, that are going to need our help. And we have plans to help. We have a track record, and we've been doing a lot. And if you can make that a recurring donation, that would be great. If you make a one-time, also remember that we have an anonymous donor matching all donations tonight up to $500. So please put your pledge in the chat or go to our donate page at gccc.us and help us help these great candidates who are giving up pretty much their entire personal lives for the next year and a half so that they can help make a better world for all of us. So with that, Hallie, I think we had that one question from Hariaksha earlier about our social media buys. And then if you have another question, please put it in the chat and we will go in the order that it is received, as you've heard on hold so many times.
There you go. Yeah, just to briefly answer the question about YouTube ads for the whole group while we get some more questions in the chat. So we were able to manage the ads for candidates with videos and ads that they wanted to run, that we were either able to help them make, or videos that they had on their own. And we did some good targeting again within their voting district. I believe we had something like over 1 million impressions across all candidates, and it was really cool. Some of the videos actually had like a 60% watch rate, which means people were watching at least half of a 30-second video that is skippable. So we were reaching the right people. They were really interested in the message, and putting just a little bit of money behind it. This was a few $1,000s in some cases, got a really nice reach for the candidates in the weeks leading up to the election in a way that I don't think would have happened without that paid spend. So, and the budgets were flexible. So we had candidates spending campaign dollars. We had the GCCC using our funds and kind of collaborating in that way, which was great. So let's see. And also, if you want to ask your question verbally, you can also use a little hand raise and unmute yourself and ask the question directly. That's totally fine as well. We have a very active chat, so I'm going to scroll and see if there's any other. Oh, here's one. Is there any advice about how to get media to take our party seriously and give us the coverage we deserve?
Justin raised his hand actually, and he put in a private chat to me about how the committee had helped a lot of our candidates get onto shows like Savvy Sabs and some of the other talk shows. So Justin, that might not be why you raised your hand, but maybe you can address media and the alternative media. I know we have at least a couple of podcasters in the audience too, if they want to put their suggestions in the chat. Justin, you're muted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. So I just really wanted to quickly, there was something else I wanted to talk about that kind of came up in the conversation here tonight. By the way, really lovely conversation. So great to see Chibu and Robin, huge fans, and you guys are, of course, doing a great job. But the two things, yes, first of all, that is another service that we want to do for our candidates, is to help them get onto podcasts. I think we got Chibu. Didn't we get you onto Savvy Sabs in the last election cycle, and maybe Hard Lens Media?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So it was great to see you there on those larger podcasts, independent podcasts. And then the other thing too is it was just, we were talking about, Rick, you mentioned this a lot, that whatever money we raise and spend on candidates is going to be pale in comparison to what the Democrats and Republicans have. But one thing I always love to keep in mind, it's something I've noticed in these elections. The cost per vote for a Green Party candidate is under $10, but it's closer to like $4 or $5 per vote, compared to a Democrat or Republican that spend anywhere $25, $30, $40 per vote. So you get 10 times more of an impact with Green Party candidates in your cost per vote ratio. And if you think of it that way, with a fraction of the money that Democrats and Republicans get, we can actually get more votes. So if we got the kind of spending that Bernie Sanders got in 2016, I mean, we would be winning race after race.
Mhm.
It really, if you think about it like that, the cost per vote. Anyways, I yield, and thanks so much for letting me get in those couple points.
All right, thank you. And for those who don't know, Justin is one of the members of the committee. Oh, I guess that's on his tag, secretary of our committee, and he's been a great help to all of us and to our candidates. I like what Madeline put in the chat, persistence, and using Instagram and Twitter every day and being consistent helps people know that there's going to be something fresh on your feed. They're going to go check it out while they're having their morning coffee. So that's a really good point. Any other questions? Oh, Robin has her hand up. Go ahead, Robin.
Just very briefly. One is, the reason Anam asked that is we experienced a complete blackout of or almost complete blackout of any kind of media coverage of our campaigns. We were largely ignored, left off of, surveys and polls and so forth. And, it kind of pained some of them to even acknowledge that we were on the ballot. And then when we did get coverage, they do something like WHYY did something with me where the interview was okay, there was some problems with it, but they searched my Facebook and took out and used the dumbest photo of me they could possibly use. It was a picture of me with a silly hat on that I put on for my granddaughter for Halloween. And so advice is if you have anything like that on social media, take it off. So that, you know, they can't use that to make you look like a clown. But also, it would really be nice if some of our lesser known people, candidates like me, could get onto some of the alternative social media, not social media, podcasts and so forth, because it was very, very difficult trying to get any kind of media coverage down in Siberia, in South Jersey. So, you know, I would actually welcome any kind of help in doing that.
I wanted to follow up with my answer, so hopefully this kind of helps. I would say directly, by showing them that you're on the ground in your community, like physically there and not only on social media. You can do this, and you should do this by setting up press releases about things that you are going to be doing and then things that you have now done. And then also by issuing statements, whether it's like a letter to the editor, maybe an opinion piece, some sort of writing. It doesn't have to be very long. It could be like 250 words or a little bit less about a comment on a current event that's happening. And by current event, I mean something that's happening this past week or in the last 24 hours. Because the news moves so quickly, you may be a filler of something. So rather than being a whole 30-minute segment, they see that there's 5 minutes and they want to highlight something different. Or maybe you come on the 11 o'clock news, which is something that happened to me. And so I told them that I was having an event. The earlier o'clock news was the people who kind of came and like shot things. And then later I was like, oh, it's going to be on right now. It wasn't. It was on at like 11 o'clock, 1 a.m., which seems like a blow, but there are people who are watching at that time. The next thing I would say is go beyond the establishment, because the establishment has financial ties to both major political establishment parties. They have an incentive to ignore you. They also have incentives to ignore people within the establishment who are rocking the boat a little bit. So that's something that you have to anticipate, or it's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the time. So go beyond the establishment. There's probably, and I would encourage you to look for them, smaller local newspapers. Maybe your local community center, rec center has like a zine, cute little magazine. The colleges and any like kind of alternative places, if it's written, those are places that you can go to share your message. These are things that you can learn. If you don't know where they are, just literally walk around your community. And when you go to community, like a new community that you haven't been to, but are still within like your district or your voting area, go to the rec centers. Free newspapers are there all the time because they want people to read them. Those are the people that you can still write to and comment on, that can even direct you to better places if this isn't like the right kind of space. People are really, honestly, people want to support local independent candidates, and maybe they can't do it in their professional setting because, again, bylaws and something like that, but they can and they will often actively on their own say, hey, I can help you here, but email me at my personal email, which you should do, and then we can connect so I can give you a better answer. And you can tell me more about your campaign. And because I'm a writer and I work at this thing, I have a personal blog. And on my personal blog, I can interview you there, which can lead to more and other things. You'd be surprised how those smaller newspapers really can lead to more and bigger things. And so go smaller and local. And if you don't feel like you have any, I can promise you there is something. So contact the GCCC or the CCC, which helps with local candidates. And we'll find those newspapers and those people that we can connect you to. But yeah, you're gonna have to go beyond the establishment, because the establishment, part of the struggle is them ignoring you. And until they have a reason to cover you, or they need something from you, like a comment, you got to go beyond them.
I love that. Thank you. Robert.
Yes, uh, I wanted to say in my 3 minutes. One, I went to June 18th, CalStart at the Angel Stadium. There were 1,200 people there, 100 and vendors showing electric vehicles and remote control skid loader, which is First Green Industries, Arden, North Carolina. That's Heather West. They're also in Elmira, New York. JCB had several ones there. Electric, that's part of the rebuilding of Altadena since the defunding of FEMA. This has also affected the Civil Air Patrol. Other thing, I write for IndianVoices.net. That is the Western United States. It's located at 111 South 35th Street, San Diego. The one is a Black Seminole named Rose Davis. She's been writing it for 50 years. We'd like to have some articles on your platforms. We definitely put it on. Of the 3,000 tribes across the United States, most are looking at what can they get done from the person if they get elected. Two, there's local, like here we have 4 councilmen coming up for election in one city, 4 councilmen coming up in election in the neighboring city. There's about 20 different positions that are open. So running for Congress may be a big thing, but the easiest one is getting into local politics. One of the things is Hemet out here where I have, 4 years ago, they signed an agreement with the warehouse people and they got $10 million. They tried to build, would you believe, a 1 billion acre feet warehouse. They had 100 people that were paid to come to the meeting in uniform to sit there and push it through. Now, all 4 of them that started it are up for election, and one is running for Congress against Louise, which is CA 36. I think there's fertile ground. One of the things is they're putting in, everybody talks about LA. Well, we're 80 miles east of LA. Did you know they're building 8,000 new homes? That's going to be an expansion of 4 more council member seats in both cities that are there. I got 6 tribes. July 6th, we're going to have a change in the priest who takes over the 6th reservation. First time he'd ever done this. So the
Robert, if
yeah,
I may,
these are all things.
if I may, Robert, a lot of what you're talking about is going to be coming up at our annual national meeting when we talk about running candidates at all levels from city council on up and how that helps build local parties and local political power. And I really appreciate how much you know about what's going on in your area. And those are some really important things. And we're also going to be doing a presentation at the annual national meeting. And but also the coordinated campaign committee, which Chibu mentioned, and she's one of the chairs of, is going to be doing presentations. And there's going to be a lot of talk about recruiting candidates for local offices and a lot of talk about the issues that really resonate with voters like yourself and with supporters of Green Party candidates. So I hope you'll sign up for the annual national meeting. You can go to gp.org and sign up. It's July 31st through August 3rd. And they should be publishing the actual meeting agenda pretty soon. It's gp.org. It's called the Annual National Meeting, or ANM. for short. And we always have some great keynote speeches every year and some really good informative workshops and ways to get involved. So
And that's July
that's
31st.
July 31st, which is a Thursday, through August 3rd. And we do like to keep these to about an hour, and we're a little bit over, and we appreciate all of you sticking with it. I know
Well,
Hallie.
let's get an ad in Indian Voices, because we don't hear the Green Party in Indian Voices. That's
Well,
that's
we
200
don't have,
tribes across the
Robert,
western
we don't
United
have
States.
time for a lot of cross discussion about it right now. We're past our time, and we want to respect
Yeah.
people's time. So I will put my information. It's ricklass@gccc.us, and you can
Okay.
email me with your suggestions, and I'll make sure they get to the right people. But I know I'm really grateful for everyone coming and spending some time with us this evening, and I think we should wrap it up because we want to make sure we respect people's time. So Hallie, I think you were going to do the key takeaways, and then we'll close it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So just some of my key takeaways from listening to all this wonderful conversation. I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to go into spaces that might feel, like go into spaces where you're grabbing supporters from someone else, or asking people for money, or asking people for endorsements. I think that what Robin and Chibu have kind of talked about has been really inspiring. And I really appreciate both of you taking the time to share your wisdom from your last campaign, and what you're working on in the future. I know, Rick, you might want to do just a quick little final final ending with like what to expect next and kind of that kind of stuff. And then we'll let everyone get out of here and get on with their evening.
So yeah, again, this is intended partially to be a fundraiser and an information sharing opportunity. So if you can donate, please do. We don't just need money. There's going to be hopefully dozens, if not hundreds, of candidates that need your support. If you have campaign experience, please fill out the form on our job board. It's at our website, gccc.us. And I saw Starlene had put that link in the chat earlier. Or if you're new to campaigning but you want to help, just volunteer. Either contact us. We also have a volunteer form on our website, or with one of your local candidates. I know a lot of people I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of people the last few months. They want to be involved locally with their local candidates, and the people on this committee have been going and helping local groups to talk about recruiting candidates. I don't need to say a lot more. This group is geared up and ready to go, and I hope you will volunteer on a local campaign. I hope you'll donate money. I hope you'll donate time. And if you haven't thought about whether maybe you should be running either for Congress or for a local race, maybe you should be thinking about that. Anyway, I said I'd made a lot of calls. I'm feeling tons of enthusiasm from people I'm calling. They're so ready for the Greens to step up and take charge and talk about the issues that none of the other candidates are going to talk about. So the last thing I want to say is please do join us. Our next candidate spotlight is going to be the opening night of the annual national meeting, July 31st. And we're hoping to have a really big crowd, not just for us, but for the annual national meeting. This party, I mean, people are ready for us. We need to be ready for them. And one of the things when I was taking organizational leadership kind of classes, they said there's going to be a point in your organization where there's going to be a huge influx of energy and volunteerism, and your job is to be ready for that. You don't know if it's going to be next week or next year. And that's how I feel about the Green Party right now nationally, is it's going to happen, and it's probably going to happen sooner than later. And we need to be ready. So do what you can to help your local party and the national party be ready for that moment. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.